Hello everyone, welcome to a new video of NIOS English lesson Case of Suspicion, lesson 8, section 2. We are going to discuss the vocabulary questions, and before jumping into the video, I would like you to subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up if you like the content, and share it with your friends. Let's begin. The first one is irritated. The word meaning of irritated is it is a state of mild anger or frustration. Sentence can be, she was irritated when her co-worker kept interrupting her during the meeting. So that is irritated. Next word is mechanic. It is a person or a community helper who repairs and maintains the machinery, especially vehicles like cars and motorcycles. A sentence with that would be, after the car broke down on the highway, we had to call a mechanic to get it fixed. So that is a mechanic. Next word is to lean over. Its meaning is to uh, reach or look for somebody who is closer and lower than your current position, and you just lean over that person. We say in that manner. So a sentence with that would be, she had to lean over the table to get a better look at the detailed map. Cat-like. The meaning of cat-like is something that resembles or has characteristics of a cat. Sentence will be, her movements are so cat-like that she seemed to glide effortlessly across the dance floor. So that is the word cat-like. And the next word is scar. So scar is a mark left on the skin after a wound or injury has healed. So a sentence would be, the cut on his arm healed, but it left noticeable scar. So these are the words that we are going to use in the section 2 of your case of suspicion. So let's jump into the section. Before going to section 2, I would like you, now we are going to see 8.2 section 2 from lesson 8, case of suspicion. So let's begin. How do you think the story proceeds? Will it be about Mr. or Mrs. Sorley, or will there be a chance meeting with someone else? Read ahead to find out. It was a long ride to Sorley's farm, and the sight of a man walking alone along the country road, as seen just ahead of the lights of the car, was a welcome relief to the doctor. He slowed down and looked at the man walking along with difficulty against the wind, a little package under his arm. Coming alongside, Dr. Benson stopped and invited the man to ride. The man got in. Are you going far? Asked the doctor. I'm going all the way to Detroit, said the man, a rather thin man with small black eyes filled with tears from the wind. Could you give me a cigarette? So the doctor meets a person who is willing to go to Detroit, and he's a thin man with his eyes covered with tears due to that wind on that cold, chill night. Dr. Benson unbuttoned his coat, then remembered the cigarettes in the outer pocket of his overcoat. He took out the packet and gave it to the rider, who then looked in his own pockets for a match. When the cigarette was lighted, the man held the packet a moment, then asked, Do you mind, mister, if I take another cigarette for later? The rider shook the packet to remove another cigarette without waiting for the doctor to answer. Dr. Benson felt a hand touch his pocket. The person asked Dr. Benson to give him a cigarette, and when the doctor unbuttoned his coat and he remembers that he has got cigarettes in his outer pocket, he just give it to the man. And the person, what he does is, instead of taking one cigarette, he takes two and ask him for the permission, but then he himself takes it without getting the doctor's permission, and he keeps it for himself. Then Dr. Benson felt a hand touch his pocket. So he's seeing that something, that person is touching his pocket. So the person says, I will put them back in your pocket, the little fellow said. Dr. Benson put his hand down quickly to receive the cigarettes and was a little irritated to find them already in his pockets. So Doctor didn't get understand the person's manner when he takes two cigarettes and then he tries to put the cigarette back into his pocket, that he didn't like the way he behaved. So he's getting irritated. Dr. Benson is getting irritated with that person's gestures. Now next one is a few minutes later, Dr. Benson said, so you are going to Detroit? It's a question mark. He's asking him, so you're going to Detroit. So he says, I'm going out to look for work in one of the automobile plants. So doctor asks, are you a mechanic? More or less. I have been driving a truck since the war ended, but I lost my job about a month ago. Were you in the army during the war? Yeah, I was in the ambulance section. Right up at the front, drove an ambulance for 4 years. Is it so? Said Dr. Benson. I'm a doctor myself. Dr. Benson is my name. So a conversation is being carried out between the Dr. Benson and the person. His name is Ivan. Okay, so then what they are discussing is he's asking about details of this person. Dr. Benson is trying to ask details about this person, being a part of introduction. The doctor asks, he's going to Detroit. So the person says he's going to work for automobile plants. And then the doctor asks whether you are a mechanic. And then the conversation goes on saying, the person says that he has been driving a truck. Whether you were in the army, and he says he was in the ambulance section, and all those conversation is being carried out between them, and doctor introduces himself as Dr. Benson. The person says or crack a joke, like he says, I thought this car smelled like pills. When doctor says that he himself is a doctor, and then he added more seriously that his name is Mr. Ivan. Okay, they rode silently along for a few minutes, and the rider moved himself in his seat and placed his package on the floor. As the man leaned over, Dr. Benson caught his first good look at the small cat-like face. Dr. Benson is seeing him in detail when he leans over. The doctor also noticed the long, deep scar on the man's cheek, bright and red, looking as though it were of recent origin. So he notices the scar on the man's face. Then he thinks of Mrs. Sorley, and then he tries to reach for his watch. And after that, what he does, he realizes himself that the watch was not there in his pocket. Chapter section 2 is over. Now we are going to see the in-text question based on this, that is in-text question 8.2. So first question is to answer it as true or false. So say whether the following statements are true or false. A man asked the doctor for a lift in his car. This is true. The man was crying because he badly wanted a cigarette. That is a false statement. Evans was now working as mechanic in an automobile plant. That is also false. He's going to get that job. He's going for that work. He lost his job. The doctor offered him 2 cigarettes. No, this is also false. Doctor offered him 1 cigarette. He himself took another one. Evans had been an ambulance driver in the army. So that statement is true. Now let's see next question, that is answer the following questions briefly. Why did the doctor invite the man in? Doctor invited the man because the man was walking along the road, and then he thought himself that a long ride he has to take by himself to Mrs. Sorley's house or farm, and the doctor saw him as a welcome relief and wanted to offer help to this particular person. That is why he invited the man into his car. Second question is, that is 2B. How many cigarettes did the man take? Did the doctor like it? How do you know? So the man took 2 cigarettes, one for later, and the doctor was irritated by this kind of behavior because the man took the second cigarette without waiting for his permission, and he also touched the doctor's pocket, which he got irritated totally. Who was Evans? Where was he going? So Evans, he's a he was a man the doctor picked up on the way to Mrs. Sorley's house, and he was looking for work in Detroit, and he lost his job as ambulance driver. Question number C. What irritated the doctor about the man? He touched his pocket that he didn't like. This made him irritated. E. Pick out two expressions from the passage that show the doctor was suspicious of Evans. So one statement is Dr. Benson felt a hand touch his pocket. That is one expression. First expression. Then another one is doctor noticed a deep scar on the man's cheek. So that is second suspicion. He don't know what is the scar all about. So that made him be suspicious about that person. Why did the doctor reach for his watch? He wanted to notice about the time he has to cover for Mrs. Sorley's house. Dr. Benson found that his watch was not there. He thought that Evans might have taken it, increasing his suspicion that Evans was not merely a job seeker, but possibly involved in something more suspicious. So a kind of suspicion arose in the doctor's mind. So section 2 of lesson 8, a case of suspicion, is done. Hope you understood the whole passage, its questions, and the overall idea what has to be done in the chapter. So if you liked the video, please don't forget to give it a like, share it with your friends, and do subscribe to the channel so that you get notifications on time.